Ma'am? Yeah.
Hi.
Stand up if you could. Give us your name.
Well, my name is Jennifer,
Jennifer?
and I want to ask you about the impeachment.
Yes.
And as a senator,
I've heard of that impeachment. Oh, yeah.
Apparently, he's been impeached in the House, but we have some sort of blockage, I believe, in the Senate. And I was wondering how Democrats feel that they can deal with that
Good.
in the Senate.
Well, you're right. 2 counts of impeachment, 2 articles of impeachment were brought forth and passed in the House. And what the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, wants to make sure, and I agree with her, and I think the American people want a fair trial in the Senate. Now, it is no great secret, I will not shock you to tell you, I do not like Donald Trump. Okay? But like anybody in America, Trump deserves a fair trial. That's all. That's what I believe. And as a senator, one of the people who will be sitting, voting on this thing, I want to hear the evidence. And I want to hear from witnesses. If you ever sat on jury duty, you hear from witnesses. Why is the person guilty? Why is the person innocent? That's what you want to hear. But unfortunately, it appears at this moment that Mitch McConnell is not particularly interested in allowing the Senate and the American people to hear from the important witnesses who knew exactly what was going on in the Ukraine. So if Trump thinks he's innocent, what he should tell McConnell, bring the witnesses in, let them testify. Let's get to the bottom of this. But that is not what he is doing. So we'll see how this thing unfolds. But it is my strong view that if we're going to have a serious trial, then witnesses need to be called in the U.S. Senate. Bill, you got anybody questions on this side? I want to go around the room. Okay. I see a woman in red right there. There she is.
Thank you. Hello, I'm Lydia. I'm 18. And something that I haven't heard a lot of candidates talk about, like when they're talking about the Green New Deal and they're talking about climate change, is how we're going to take down commercial farming and deal with that.
Good.
Because, it's killing our country, or our world, our climate. And I haven't heard a lot of people talk about that in relation to the Green New Deal.
And that's a very fair and good question, especially in a state like Iowa. And let me just, that opens up a whole big issue. But let me just briefly give you my views. One of the sad aspects of what has been going on in America, well before Trump, but for many years, and you know it as well as I do here in Iowa, it's true in Vermont, is we have seen the decline of family-based agriculture. We have seen the decline of rural communities. Kids in Vermont, in rural communities, kids in Iowa, kids all over rural America are leaving those communities. Schools are closing down because there aren't good jobs, and family-based agriculture is going out of business. So Lydia, let me just say to you, as somebody who comes from a rural state, somebody who spent a lot of time fighting for family farmers, the thrust of our agricultural policy will be to support family-based agriculture. We want young people to come back to family-based agriculture where they can make a living, which is often not the case right now. Furthermore, to your point, no question but that factory farming is impacting very significantly the water quality and the air quality of communities all across this country. Our proposal puts a moratorium. We stop the expansion of factory farming in this country. And we also deal with the consolidation in agribusiness, so that in sector after sector, whether it's poultry, beef, dairy, or whatever it is, we have fewer entities controlling those sectors, making it harder for farmers to get fair prices for their products. Lydia, thanks for that question. Okay, I see a hand right here. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, come and there's your mic.
First of all, thank you very much for running again. You've basically answered most of my questions, but the one thing that's leaving me worried is when you win the election, how are you going to reunite this divided country?
Good. Thank you very much for that question. Your name is?
Mary Callahan.
Mary? Mary asked a very good question. And I think, certainly one of the painful aspects of where we are as a nation now is to see the increased divisiveness and in some cases absolute hatred that's going on. That should not be the case. The democracy that I believe in is that if you disagree with me, that's fine. That's your American right. But let us try to be civil in terms of our disagreements. But you asked the question, how do we bring the American people together? And I think that the answer is pretty simple, is you have a government that does what the American people want rather than what wealthy campaign contributors want. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is on issue after issue, including many of the issues that I've talked about today. You know what? Republicans and Democrats and independents support it. Should we raise the minimum wage to $15? Is that just my idea or your idea? That is what a strong majority of the American people believe. Equal pay for equal work, strong majority, Republicans, Democrats, independents. Should we move to guarantee health care to all people? The American people will have differences as to how we get there, but they do understand. You're a Republican, you can't afford your premiums, all right? They understand the current system is corrupt and dysfunctional. Republicans have kids who can't afford to go to college or are leaving college deeply in debt. More and more Republicans understand what Trump does not understand, that climate change is real. We have some very conservative Republicans working with us on criminal justice reform for a very interesting reason. Not only are we destroying lives by locking people up, we're wasting huge amounts of money. Costs more money to put somebody in jail than send them to the University of Iowa. Conservative Republicans understand that. All right, so to answer your question, the way I believe we bring people together is we bring them together around the common support that exists on many, many issues out there. I'm not telling you it's every issue, but there are many issues. And that certainly will be the thrust of what our administration is about. Okay, I see a hand way, way, way in the back. Gentlemen, stand up. Yeah. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Jeff. Like many of you, I have worked my whole life. 11 years ago, when Wall Street caused the Depression, we lost our 85-year-old family business. My wife has had cancer twice. We pay $30,000 a year in insurance right now. Either we choose, and that's why I'm here, either we choose to put our time behind changing this country. We've actually thought about moving to a different country in order to sustain our life because we can't afford to stay here. I'm sure a lot of you people feel the same way. We need to get involved. Thank you for running.
Thank you very much. Let me just pick up. I'm sorry, was that Chuck? Chuck, is that your name?
Sorry?
Chuck?
Oh, my name is Jeff.
Jeff, I'm
Bishop.
sorry. Okay. I want to thank Jeff for standing up. What we do, and this is kind of too big a room to do it today, when we have smaller groups, we ask people to stand up and say, talk about what's going on in their lives. And, you go around the room, it turns out everybody has some pain and some issues. And what we're trying to do in this campaign, and I thank Jeff for standing up, here he is talking about what the greed and illegal behavior of Wall Street did to his small business and to businesses all across this country. Millions of people lost their jobs, their homes, and their life savings. Hey, Jeff, you know what happened since? The biggest banks are bigger today and more profitable than they ever have been, and we bailed them out. So the point that Jeff is making, if we could bail out the crooks on Wall Street, can we create an economy that works for working families? And Jeff is absolutely right. And the issue of health care, all right? Jeff, we talk about how you pay for health care. So the next time you see one of my opponents, hey, Bernie, how are you going to pay for Medicare for all? Jeff is paying for it right now. $30,000 a year. That is totally crazy, totally reactionary, and unfair. So what I think Jeff is right on, and that is we have got to have the courage to work together to take on Wall Street. And we got some very specific ideas about breaking up these large banks to create a Medicare for all system so that Jeff's family and every other family in America can have the quality, affordable health care that they deserve. All right, maybe one or two more questions here. All right. Yes, ma'am.
My name's Christy, and I'm just curious, how should I respond when people tell me, well, Bernie's too old to be in office, or Mayor Pete's too young to be in office? It drives me nuts because obviously age and competency, we have an idiot in office now, and he's...
All right, good question. No. You know, every question, people, and, you know, I want to say this, and I'm not just brown-nosing the people of Iowa, is, you know, you go first. So you play a disproportionately important role in the whole political process. And I have really been impressed that, you know, somebody's been all over the state, how seriously the people of Iowa take that very important responsibility. The whole country's looking at Iowa. You got all this media here, you know. They're not in Maryland. They're not in New Mexico. They're here in Iowa. They're looking at you. And you take it seriously. And I will bet that many people who are here today have gone to hear other candidates to try to assess where they are coming from as well. That's what you should be doing, okay? And people are asking all kinds of questions, which is what you should be asking. So all that I say is this. Is age an issue? Yeah, it's an issue. Is experience an issue? Yeah, I think it's an issue. I was a mayor for 8 years, regarded at the time as one of the best mayors in America. I know something about. Visit us in Burlington, Vermont. It's a beautiful city. Okay? And I say that because that's important too. I was in the House of Representatives. We talked, a moment ago, we talked about how we bring people together. There were years where I passed more amendments on the floor of the House with Republicans than any other member of Congress. There are 435 members. Knowing how to work with people, knowing the experience. Is experience important in a crazy world like today? Yeah, I think it's of some importance. That's a joke. I think it's very important. Okay. You know, and so, I mean, I think we look at the totality of where a person is, but most importantly, you know, and this is true, one of the things that always bothers me, there are folks out there, candidates out there running for governor or senator, whatever they're running for, they are great husbands or wives. They treat their kids really, really nice. They're nice people. But they want to cut Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid and give tax breaks to billionaires. So you got to look at what somebody stands for, what somebody's ideas are. Now I have, yeah, I'm 78, plead guilty. But the advantage, there is an advantage. And that is, unlike all these kids I'm running against, you can check my record going back a long way. You can. A long way. So you can find out that when I was mayor of Burlington, I was on the picket line with workers around my state. You can find out that I was talking about gay rights before it was fashionable. That I was fighting for Medicare for all before most people even knew what that concept was. So, in a sense, and I mean this quite seriously, the advantage of having a long track record is that I am too old to change. I have stood up and fought for working families my entire life. I am a son of the working class. That's where I come from. That is who I am. All right? You know, I read somewhere that Donald Trump's millionaire family gave him an allowance when he was a kid of $200,000 a year. My allowance was 25 cents a week. Lucky to get that. So I know, to answer your question, I know where I come from. I apologize to nobody for my working class roots. I apologize to nobody that I'm the son of an immigrant. And I apologize to nobody that as president, our administration will take on the greed and corruption of the corporate elite. Thank you all very much.